Hey guys, here's Torsten. I hope you're doing well. And this video is kind of a kickoff of a new series I planned for you guys. I had been thinking about such a thing for a while now, and then I actually got a request from one of the viewers the other day if I could make a video about the Japanese language. And this series is gonna be supposed to be about the Japanese culture, and I thought actually talking about the Japanese language, explaining it, and sharing some of my experiences with it would be a good start as a first episode. I think language is a very important foundation of culture, and so it just makes sense to give you an introduction of the Japanese language first, go into some details about the writing systems, and then maybe more interestingly give you, share my experience with you guys, what happened when I came to Japan. I studied Japanese for 3.5 years, and learning Japanese is definitely a huge challenge for everyone, I think, especially if you come from a non-Asian country. And yeah guys, so hope you enjoyed the video, and let's get right into it. Okay, so in Japanese we have 3 different writing systems. We have hiragana and katakana, which make out the syllabary system, and then we have kanji, which is actually the logographic Chinese characters, the complicated looking signs you probably all know or have seen in games, etc. So basically every word in Japanese can be, or most words can be written with all of those 3 writing systems. So what is actually the difference? So let me get started. First of all, you have to think about it this way. For almost every Japanese word, or for every Japanese word, there is a kanji usually. A lot of words, the kanjis are not really being used anymore because they are just too complicated, and for some insects, no one is actually using those kanjis anymore. So people use hiragana to write the words, and those are the syllabaries we see here. So you have, for hiragana, they look different, but they are the same syllabaries. Katakana, they look a little bit different. Basically, the sounds, I'm just gonna read them out for you. A, I, U, E, O, ka, ki, ku, ke, ko, sa, shi, su, se, so, ta, chi, tsu, te, to, nani, nu, ne, no, ha, hi, fu, he, ho, mami, mu, me, mo, ya, yu, yo, rari, ru, re, ro, wa, and o. The other ones I skipped, they are not in use anymore. And usually in normal Japanese writing, we use hiragana. For words that are transcribed from other languages, like in English, those words are written using katakana. Also, some technical words are written in katakana, or if you want to emphasize a word, for instance, if you're writing someone a message and you're very angry at that person, you might write certain words using katakana. There are more examples, but those are basically the main reasons why you would use katakana instead of hiragana. And obviously, then we have the kanjis. I have prepared a document to actually show you some examples. So the first you see here, we have the word kuruma. This is the kanji, the logographic character. And written in hiragana, it would look like this, kuruma. So this already might answer a question for some people who often ask, okay, how can you actually write Japanese with such a limited amounts of keys on your keyboard, because there are over 2,000 kanjis still in the daily use in Japanese language. So how can you write them? So of course there is not a key for each of the kanji. That would be completely unusable. So you write the word with basically normal keys, ku, ru, ma, and then you do the conversion. You press space and I just show it to you. So I would write ku, ru, ma, and then already the selection comes up. I press space, and then I press space again. Then I have a whole, list of words I can select from. But obviously, this is the most. That's the kanji I want. If you write a whole sentence, this works as well. The whole sentence will be automatically, changed into kanji, and it works extremely well. Obviously, the system has been around for a long time. It works perfectly in Windows and on Mac as well. So, and then, for instance, kuruma, you could also write it in katakana if you for some reason would like to emphasize the word, etc. You saw this is the word, the kanji for kuruma, and the word kuruma is actually the Japanese reading of the kanji, also called kunyomi. So there are a lot of words that consist of more than one kanji. For instance, this word. The word is called shasen, which means traffic lane. And you see, sha is the pronunciation of the first kanji, which we just had here above, which was pronounced kuruma. But in the combination, we use the Chinese reading of the kanji, which would be sha in this case. Depending on the word, the pronunciation might be, different for in other words, in other word combination or kanji combinations, and a lot of kanjis have a lot of different ways to pronounce them. It is sounds more difficult than it actually is. If you just learn the actual words, like this, for instance, then over the time you will get a feeling of what kind of pronunciation is needed for the kanji in the different word combinations. Alright, and then, we have, for instance, a kanji like this. I mentioned it already. This is actually means tonbo. This means dragonfly. And no normal Japanese adult person, if they would write, a message or maybe a letter with handwriting, they would use this kanji. Every person would use katakana or maybe also hiragana to write tombo. So this gives you already, an overview of, what kind of writing system is used for the different words. Learning those writing systems takes you a long time. Learning katakana and hiragana is not very difficult. You can learn it, just rough writing and reading skills in a few days. But kanji will take you a long time if you don't come from, an Asian language background. If you're from China, obviously most of the kanjis, the kanjis look similar. But if you come from a European country, you need to invest a lot of time to learn kanji. It took me around 2 years until I was basically able to read, most of the texts around me. But after 2 years, it was really far from perfect. I live here in Japan now for over 7 years, and I can read basically everything I see in the streets. I can read newspapers. I can read a normal book, but it takes you a long time. And a lot of people who came to Japan with me, who, I went here to university first and studied half a year there, and then went to another language school for another 3 years. A lot of those people, they gave up because you study and study for a year here, and you're almost not able to read anything, and you can hardly do any daily conversations, really only basic, because the language origin is just so different from the European languages, English, etc., that it really, at the beginning, is just learning some weird words you don't have any kind of relationship to. And you also in Japan, even in Tokyo, you will not get very far with English. You can talk to some people on a very basic level, but if you walk through the streets and you want to go, find a restaurant or usually in Europe, from Germany I know it, you walk around and you see a restaurant from the outside. Here in Japan, because the population is so crazy dense, there are a lot of buildings that, 8 floors, 9 floors, and you don't really see from the outside what kind of stores or shops or restaurants are in there. You have obviously the writing outside, what kind of restaurants there are, but if you can't read the kanji, it doesn't help you anything. So you will walk, if you don't speak Japanese, you walk through Tokyo like a blind person. And I've seen it to many people who have been living here for 10 years and more. They don't speak any Japanese, and they only scratch the surface actually of the Japanese culture. And the reason also I wanted to explain you guys why so many Japanese people are actually so bad at English. It comes back to the writing system, the katakana system I just explained to you. Because when Japanese people learn English here, they transcribe every word they learn first into katakana. And this results in a very bad pronunciation of the word. I gave you an example here. This is the word hotel, and in Japanese katakana transcription it is read hoteru. So if you are a Japanese student and you start learning English, you would memorize the English words not as hotel, but you will write them down as hoteru. So then, in your head the pronunciation is different from the actual word. So if a person comes to you, a native speaker of English, and pronounces the words, in proper English, a lot of people just don't understand what they are saying because the pronunciation is just so different. Obviously, the English teachers here, like in Germany, they are not native speakers, or in a lot of schools they are not, and their pronunciation is not very good as well. So, it's a kind of a vicious circle. And I think a huge revolution for the education system here would be just to have the students to just use the normal letters to memorize English words. But I guess that's a little bit another topic. So guys, so coming here to Japan for me has been really one of my biggest challenges on the one hand, but also some of the one of the most rewarding experiences in my life. I came here without any Japanese language skills, and the first 1.5 years were tough for me. But at that time I was in a really comfortable situation. I didn't really have to work, and I just went to school and studied Japanese all day. And so for me it was interesting because I didn't have that stress of getting along and finding a job, etc. So I really could learn the culture here first and the language, and then go into the working society again. But if you come to the point where you speak enough Japanese to actually do even work in Japanese, to speak in polite Japanese to your customers, etc., then actually Japan becomes you scratch a completely different dimension of Japan. And this is one of my recommendation, or one of my advice for people who think of coming or moving to Japan. Just be prepared to work hard. And I know a lot of people who have that in mind. They come to Japan, they are motivated, but the working or the amount of work you need to learn Japanese, the amount of dedication, actually surpasses a lot of people's expectations. And they still give up after a year or so, because the results you get after a year will not be satisfactory for most people at all. So that's definitely my biggest message. If you're thinking about moving to Japan, it has been one of the most rewarding journeys for me, but it is work. So guys, this was the first episode of my Japanese culture series, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions regarding the Japanese language, or have any particular wishes for the next episode, if there's something you want to see in the next episode. By the way, what I wanted to mention in this episode, when I say this will be a series of Japanese culture, I'm not going to be talking about very popular topics like samurai or ninja. Those things like everyone knows anyway. My mission actually for this series is rather to talk about things that you people will probably not know, and people usually don't know if they haven't lived in Japan, you know, don't have any Japanese friends, or maybe haven't lived with a Japanese family. Just to give you an example, I have this taketombo here. This is made out of bamboo. It's made by kids. I will show you that in one of my next episodes. But it's something that kids and people do in summer. You know, you sit outside, it's breeding hot in summer here in Japan, and they make those toys and, you know, drink some sake and enjoy the summer. And these kinds of things I want to show you here in my series to just get you a different view on the Japanese culture of things you usually wouldn't see. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up, and I hope I see you in the next video. Have a good one, guys.